as it relates to paying of the fees for one of the reasons that people sidestep paying all of these fees. They go to KSAC, they go to JAMS, they go everywhere. Promoters, I'm on the promoters aspect now. Then they go to the police department, and it's in their discretion if after they have already paid up all these fees to everybody else, if they get a permit or not. So is that something that would be addressed? And you don't get a refund. So you already spent all the money, and now it's up to the police to say, you know, yes or no.
No, might I suggest that based off the Noise Abatement Act, you make your application within 10 days of the event. You still have loads of time, having received your approval, to go seek out the other payments from the other rights holders. So current information to the JCF is that once you make your application to them, that's the commanding officer, he will advise you as to what the necessary steps to make sure you're compliant with the law. It will be no longer a situation where you have to get those approvals first, but they are still necessary to have. So you still can apply. Your application will be considered. You will be given information as to how to get the necessary license, JACAP, the JAM license, etc. So when next you apply to your commanding officer, you will be given that menu of items.
No, I think you misunderstood what I was saying. First. Oh, so you're saying get the permit from the police first.
Yes, because
then
you
carry on.
have 10 clear days.
They're saying they don't issue it until...
No, that was the past tense. That was the past tense. There's communication.
In the last week, if it changed in the last month?
No, I'm saying all commanding officers since last week were given a circular signed by the Deputy Commissioner of Police authorizing them to so act, because we recognize the anomaly that was previously in the publication that we had sent out. So when you next turn up to your police, the atmosphere will be slightly different in that the application will still be considered. They will advise you as to the importance of complying with the law. The police reserve the right upon the day of event to turn up and request to see your license. The police reserve the right beyond that, and discretion is always something that we enforce on a commanding officer. So that document was circulated, it's signed off on, and all commanding officers now have it. So you will no longer have that scenario.
Can I say something? But hold on. Hold on, sir.
Importantly, if you do acquire the license or JACAP JAMS license before, and I'm speaking for JACAP now, and you have not, the police does not approve you for the party for whatever reason, JACAP gives you a refund. Yeah. Okay? So that is invariably.
Yeah. All right. Hold a sec. Can I say something here? We have a problem in this country where we're using a band-aid to address a gunshot wound. Former minister here said something earlier, whereas we need a one-stop shop. The one-stop shop is there already. Use JACAP, one. It means, for example, if you're going to the police, if you're going to all of these entities, JACAP is already set up. Use the thing that already exists. So therefore, it means I come back in the next week or two and everything has to be approved. Why do we have to be going all over the place? We talk about budget and talk about paying. It means, for example, one simple thing. You make a budget for your show. Take out 35% to be paid over to the necessary thing. Pay to one entity. And that entity distribute. We do it with housing trust and income tax and all of that.
All of that
Why
is
can't
government.
we keep on doing the same thing over and over and over?
I must make a clarification though, that JACAP is an entity that deals with one set of the rights. It's extremely important for us to understand that JAMS handles another set of rights. So there's no one-stop house where JACAP represents all the rights. But it's on the table and it is being discussed.
Okay, now this one is for JACAP specifically. And I had to write down the question so I didn't forget. What entity will audit or regulate the payment by JACAP legally from a government perspective to artists and producers for complete transparency?
I will be presumptuous, and I'll answer that. The government has representatives on the board of JACAP from JIPO, and you heard about the Auditor General's Department. The Attorney General's Department. The chairman gave me the information there a while ago. I feel it after. Yes.
Okay, and that information would be available to the public, to the artists themselves, and transparent.
And
JACAP is very transparent.
Because that's the feedback I get. Like, I'm just afraid of JACAP, and I can't.
We are very transparent. We operate an open door policy, and anything that you need to know, if you're a member, you walk in. If you're a potential user, you can walk in. And everything is there for your knowledge. We will educate and advise. Okay?
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am Osborne Bailey. I'm a pastor of a church. And listening to the outrolling of the policies, I believe there is a place to ask the question, what are the implications?
Folks, one meeting, please.
What are the implications for this policy as it relates to?
One of the things that happen when we do these forums is that we ask a question, and when the answer don't suit us, we keep our own meeting. Right? So we have to learn to respect ourselves. I don't like talk certain things, but I'm going to tell you this straight up. There's only one society in the world. There is only one society in the world that administers all the various rights. It's GEMA, the German society. I'm going to get that straight. JACAP has put the one-stop shop on the table from 1999, and everybody reject it. So we're not talking about no one-stop shop today. Our accounts are available. Our members leave them on the floor in this very same room, and we have to pick them up after the meeting. Our users' license for broadcasters gives them the right to come in and vet our books. Our members can see our books anytime during business hours. Make we leave off of the transparency argument now, because our accounts are reported to government, to WIPO, and to CSAC. We could move to another discussion now.
I suppose asking a question about the church is really another discussion.
Yeah, go ahead.
I really have listened as a pastor for a church, Covenant Holiness Christian Church, and a lover of live reggae music. I really would like someone to tell me what are the implications of this policy for the using of live music in church, live or recording music in church.
I mean, like in the church. Yeah,
There's a clarification. Carol, don't there's an exception for church? Yeah. We need to clearly understand, and I'm assuming you're saying that if the church is putting on an event that they're using live music, like a show, or are you saying that during service?
No, man. The church use music at there's
there,
live There's live concert, there's in-church service, there is recorded music. We use music in a wide variety of ways. So I kind of need to know what are the implications here.
Well, the first thing to bear in mind that even for churches, copyright, the works are protected under copyright as well. A lot of the material, however, that's used in churches or in the past anyway, would have been in public domain if, for example, they existed for the lifetime of an author and 50 years after death. In some instances, the works are anonymous. You don't know who the author is of the work. But certainly for those works, and I do know that for many churches now, there are new works that are being created. Those would be protected under copyright. Some of those members of your church would be members of JACAP or ASCAP or PRS or BMI.
Half you would not understand, but go ahead.
Right. So in other words, those authors and composers within your church would anticipate and expect that they should be paid royalties for their works when it is being used within your churches. I do not know of an exception that is given to churches in terms of copyright. So my thinking on it is that there should be a discussion with JACAP as a society, whether you have a waiver based on the work that you do, or that you have a blanket license, or that there's an arrangement in terms of what churches cover. In the past, this is not something that was discussed, I must say.
Because that is what, I hear you and I respect the fact that you're giving me an opinion, but I really want to hear the policy.
But I'm saying to you from a government perspective, and having drafted and worked in the law, there is no exception that is given to the church as a policy. In the past, much of the work in the church was in public domain. And so, for example, your Charles Wesley and so on, their works are in public domain. However, with many churches now, as I've seen, having PowerPoint presentations with modern works, which are owned by living authors, and the work is protected for the lifetime of an author or composer, and 50 years after death, therefore means that those works are protected under copyright. And therefore, those authors would be entitled, wherever they are, whether those authors and composers are Jamaicans or they're from foreign societies with which JACAP has a reciprocal agreement. So I'm saying to you that you have to look at it. The church will now have to have an approach in a new context relating to that.
I must say that there are two scenarios that exist currently. Carol mentions the fact that in worship nowadays, while you're in church, you're singing worship songs and the names of the authors and the writers are published. Something that happens normally is that from the membership, there are musicians and singers in the church who invariably do a CD that includes the works of these people. One way is for us to educate the pastors, to help them to understand that the works are copyrighted, and so they must contact the authors, and they can contact the authors through these same websites or their established websites. That's one. Two, the church also has a mentality that because they are church, when they now host an event that involves just church music, they should not pay. They also must contact JACAP, and some of them do. You know, so there is a clear policy when it comes on to paid events and concerts for the church to comply.